Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Entrepreneurial Mindset, the pitfalls. And in this chapter we are talking about mistakes entrepreneurs make. Or we said maybe you can avoid some of the mistakes when you get yourself started, for example. On the other side, what I'm telling you right now is also try to make mistakes, because making mistakes foster your learning. There's especially one situation I've seen lots of times, especially with people with the background of consultants, for example, because consultants, they really want to get down to the truth, which is a good thing. So they make plans for everything. You can try to anticipate everything. But to be honest, you can never be sure. And sometimes you only learn by launching your business and not by thinking everything through. Because only making mistakes allows to learn from them. A failed idea can even be useful. And especially if you face uncertainty. And if you're dealing with a certain environment, maybe you have to think it through to the very detail. But if you think about uncertainty, if you think about a new technology nobody knows, you have to go out of the building and find customers and try to sell to someone. This is the only way you can see whether a customer likes your product or not, and the customer is willing to pay or not. Failure creates extraordinary change. Failure builds up tough skin, so it makes you tougher. It keeps go in check. Failures have positive consequences for entrepreneurs. So if you use them in a positive way, if you go on after mistakes, if it creates aha moments for you, you grow with the mistakes. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. Don't try to think everything through, because you can't, especially dealing with uncertainty. And this is one of the mistakes entrepreneurs do. They're very anxious to make mistakes. What I would say, the higher the uncertainty, the earlier you have to go out of the building. The second mistake in that sense is, if you go out of the building and fail, you make mistakes, you do not capture learnings. So some entrepreneurs, they do not think it through. They go out of the building, they make the mistakes, but they don't capture what they learned. And that's the second thing you have to do. You have to look at your mistakes, and you can do them once, but only once. Because when you only do them once and learn out of them, you never need to do them again if you capture your learning. And that's the second important thing. So go out of the building very fast and then capture your learning. Because failure then is something positive for you. At the very end, don't hide your failures. Talk about them and try to redefine what you want. And I do remember when I started my first business, I'm talking a lot of my first business because the first one is probably the one you make the most of the mistakes. We made marketing, and people went to our website and they looked at our products and they went away. So they didn't convert into business. And the one thing we did in a positive way, we went out really, really early, really fast. We let the people try a comparatively crappy website. But what we didn't do is then, when we had someone on the website, follow this person to understand where's the point where this person leaves the website again. So where does it lack conversion from one step to the other? And when we introduced that, we had a lot better sense about how to get a customer to the website and how to convert this customer into business. And this is a very typical example for capturing the learning. You can make mistakes, you can go out with a crappy website, but try to understand your customer, what he does on the crappy website, and then try to reduce that crappiness over time. And this is how you learn from your own mistakes. And also the entrepreneur writes about it, and this is by Chris Dunn, and he's, by the way, founder and CEO of the Skill Incubator. And he says those who fail the most learn the most. So it's good to go out, also to talk about your failures. Because when you fail, you learn what works and what doesn't by yourself. And also, if you talk about it, others start talking about their mistakes, and then you can capture their learning. You don't need to pay for that mistakes again. And you can also see that venture capitalists, for example, they love to invest in entrepreneurs that have undergone multiple entrepreneurial failures. So failing is not a bad thing. Failing is positive, and people especially want to invest in you if you failed, because then someone else paid for mistakes and you don't need to make those mistakes again. And there are very prominent examples for that. And listen to Paul Allen, who was a co-founder of Microsoft together with Bill Gates, and he talked about one of the ideas, which was Trafo Data. And he said Trafo Data was a good idea with a flawed business model. It hadn't occurred to us to do any market research, and we had no idea how hard it would be to get capital commitments from municipalities. So between 1974 and 1980, Trafo Data lost a lot of money. So we closed the shops shortly thereafter. And then he says, and that's really interesting, since then I've made my share of business mistakes, but Trafo Data remains my favorite mistakes. He talks about it as a favorite mistake because of the learning, because it confirmed to me that every failure contains the seeds of your next success. This was the essential step toward a personal computer that anyone could use, and the keystone for creation of Microsoft. So you see, even very renowned entrepreneurs say, we've learned a lot from mistakes, from our mistakes. And in that example, it helped them a lot in order to make Microsoft the successful company it is by today. So how could you use these learnings? How to mitigate this? Well, the only thing you can do is get out as early as possible and make the mistakes. So don't think you can plan everything to every detail. If you do that, capture your learnings, and by capturing your learnings, you maintain a positive attitude, because capturing learnings helps you to make mistakes and still be positive, because sometimes we are angry about our own mistakes, and this is very human, I think. But then you need to structure your approach, do not overplan, and take the learning because it teaches you a lot and brings you new motivation to even be more successful in the next steps.